So I'm at the BLM lands just a little bit south of Makoshika State Park. And this is an area in eastern Montana that has just fantastically rich fossil deposits from just before the end of the age of dinosaurs. You know, as I mentioned in my last video, you can actually find the layer that was deposited on the single day that the gigantic meteor came down, struck the earth, and wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. And so right now I'm on the BLM lands. I'll be visiting the park later today, just kind of wandering around and looking for fossils. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the law, I can't actually remove any of the vertebrate fossils, but it's still going to be kind of fun, and still should be able to find some bone chunks and just kind of leave it in the ground. Sort of the catch and release version of fossil hunting. Makoshika State Park and the surrounding landscape are a treasure trove of fossils deposited just before the end of the age of dinosaurs from a formation of rock called the Hell Creek Formation. Out here looking for dinosaur bone, which is what you'll often find in these formations. But instead what I found is some of the most incredible fossilized wood that I've just ever seen. Like, I'm so used to hunting on the Yellowstone River where you'll see the chunks of petrified wood kind of, tumbled around by the action of the river and very smoothed out. And I found something like this. And these pieces are just so intricately beautiful. Just these amazing tiny details in the waves of the grain of the wood. Just like these knotted internal patterns that you never find on the Yellowstone. And this is even cooler because on BLM land, plant and vertebrate fossils you can actually keep. So I think I'm going to bring this with me and get it cleaned up. Right, get it smoothed out so all the dirt is gone, and you can just see these just amazing waving grain patterns on this. I cannot express what an incredible piece this is. It's just amazing. To become petrified, many of these trees were buried in catastrophic events, from landslides to volcanic explosions. Bit by bit, the wood was replaced by mineral and frozen in time over the ages. I cannot express to you how absolutely unbelievable this petrified wood is. So I just found the most incredible piece that I've ever found. Second best was earlier today as well. But this is just amazing. So you can actually see the knots and growths of different branching points. So this was once a branch, a fossil branch that has been preserved so amazingly. They can actually see these little knobs, everything you would expect from a tree that existed over 66 million years ago. And yet here it is, so lifelike. I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe. The name Makoshika comes from the Lakota word for bad earth, referencing the intense barren outcrops. To me, that barrenness gives it a remarkable sense of beauty. over that way and saw that there are all sorts of gigantic concretions, which are like, you know, collections of mud balls that would get rolled in creeks and things. That is cool. The caps of stone on the outcrops made walking through the landscape a surreal experience, as though I was stepping into a slightly distorted alien world. The Badlands are a place where the Earth's secrets are revealed. Fossils created millions of years ago can be found across the landscape. The trained geological eye can see the ancient waterways that once existed there. With daylight disappearing, I hiked back up the hill, ready to make camp and see the wonder Makoshika offers the next day. Alright, well, I'm back in Makoshika State Park, and I'm on a mission today. So somewhere in the Badlands out here, I actually know where, but that's, we'll have to wait and see until I get there. There's a very thin layer of black dirt, and that black dirt is the sign of the cataclysmic impacts that happened 66 million years ago. And this bearded vagabond biologist that's currently talking to this camera while walking down the trail is only here because of this catastrophic event that this thin layer of soil is the only indication of in this area. And so I'm going to get to this thin layer of soil and tell you a little bit about how just unbelievable the impact was and just all the crazy things that happened to the Earth when it occurred. So let's go check out some amazing history. The magnitude of the event that had ended the age of the non-avian dinosaurs has always amazed me. When it struck the Gulf of Mexico, the meteor would have created tidal waves over 1,000 feet tall, and that violence now can be seen in this small black line. This layer of rock here, this dark material that extends around this hillside and was visible from the road back there, is a very, very famous layer of rock. And so this is, I grew up knowing as the KT boundary. It is now also called the KPG boundary, which just doesn't have nearly as great sounding of a name. This black material here is all this carbonized material. So this is basically a layer of coal or something very similar from a vast amount of the vegetation and animals and assorted biological material that existed on Earth 66 million years ago. And what created this layer of material was a giant asteroid 6 to 9 miles long that struck in the Gulf of Mexico 66 million years ago. And the scale and intensity of this event is something that I just cannot fathom for the life of me. The number I read is that it's equivalent of blowing up 1 billion Hiroshima bombs, the bombs that the United States dropped on Japan. Another way of thinking of that number, because it's so vast, is if every person in the United States each exploded 3 nuclear weapons, that would be roughly the magnitude of this explosion. It would have created nearly global firestorms. They'll sometimes find little little droplets, little crystals of glass inside some of these layers, and these were literally molten material that rained down on vast parts of the earth, and this material would have ignited various forests, and so they found evidence of forest fires that stretched all the way across the globe. And then, after this initial vast pulse of energy across the world, it would have gotten cold, and the sunlight would have been blocked for months to years on end, and photosynthesis would have almost just shut down across the world. And so the oceans would have also been affected with ocean acidification and things like this. So it was a very, very intense day, and all that we have to show for it is this little layer of charcoal here. The reason that I get to exist and make my fingers black from this charcoal is because that meteor struck 66 million years ago. With a boundary located, I found a charger to plug my laptop into and edit the video you just watched. Next stop, the beauty and majesty of Theodore Roosevelt National Park. To make sure you don't miss it, please subscribe and wander in wonder.